Hello, everybody. Welcome to International Ball Live webcast. Today, I have the great pleasure of hosting my good friend, Coach Scott Fields, who's an experienced, internationally well-renowned coach from Utah, who has led teams, many teams, to championships in different levels and countries. Scott is also a multiple-year Coach of the Year award winner in his 20-plus year career, who brings tremendous experience and expertise from the NBA, Summer League, G League circles. Coach Fields is very well known in basketball industry as a community leader, cause-based advocate, helping charities raise funds and helping people in need. He's also host and broadcaster of the Scott Fields Show. Covers a wide variety of social and basketball-related discussions. Scott has hosted many camps, clinics, speaking engagements, which can be found on www.scottfields.com. Coach, thanks so much for doing this. How are you? Hope you're doing good.
Tom, I'm well. I'm honored and humbled to be on the show with you, and appreciate you having me. Probably just like you in Canada, the weather's turning a little bit colder with some snow, but it's nice to sit here and talk a little basketball with my close friend.
Absolutely. As I was saying earlier, we've gotten a little bit better since I hosted your first time. I guess it was earlier in the pandemic.
There you go. Hey, as we talked off camera here, it's like shooting the basketball. You just got to get your reps in.
Well, thanks for coaching me, man. I just try and get into the routine of learning. Man, it's been such a long time since we talked, and I've been so enthused about hosting you and talking to you about the wonderful work that you've done. Just not just basketball, but you've used basketball as a vehicle to. You've covered it. You've talked about mental health. You've talked about social injustice issues. You've talked about all elements of the game. How the NBA hosted the bubble format to finish the season. Your beautiful monologue that you did for the NBA commissioner. I watched that and I was like, what a beautiful work you've done. So proud of you, Coach. So privileged and honored to have you on with me.
Well, I'm the one that's honored and humbled. It's a lot of fun to get on here and share a unique perspective and insight, because I feel like, with the credentials and the background and experiences that we have, we can provide an insight that not a lot of people can share. So to utilize this platform and utilize this space to educate, empower, and add some tools to the toolkit for our viewers is something that I take a lot of pride in. But we've just had a lot of fun doing it, and with outstanding guests on our show and allowing them to share their journeys. It's very honoring and humbling for sure.
You have hosted so many different, great guests on your show, and I'm just going to be pulling up your social media platform, so my viewers and some of my friends and colleagues can get an opportunity to just to see some of the fantastic work that you've done, like. Just since the beginning of 2020, you've been one of the most active people that I know regards to, being socially conscious, to be socially aware about everything that's been going on. Here, the Coach Scott Fields show channel on YouTube. I mean, man, look at some of the brilliant work you've done here, Coach. Anyone you can pick that maybe we could have a quick preview here.
I go back and think of the number of guests that we had, and Tom, when COVID first started, so this was back in March, and I wanted to say March 13th because, our Utah Jazz were playing the Oklahoma City Thunder, and that's when Rudy Gobert was first diagnosed with the COVID. And, there were more questions than answers at that time. And then, the NBA actually shut down. And I just took it upon myself knowing that during times of emergency and pandemics and times of emergency, sports is so woven into our culture, and it provides a distraction and a respite. And that's when we upped our frequency with our show. And so to think back of all the number of guests and people who were so selfless to volunteer their time to come on the show and share their journeys and share their knowledge and share their expertise with us. It's just been very humbling. And to know that, those close personal relationships that I have with many of the NBA representatives, whether they were front office executives, NBA coaches, NBA players, NBA journalists, some guys from NBA TV came on, has just been very fulfilling. And, then I also think too, when ESPN did an outstanding job of showing The Last Dance, the Michael Jordan documentary that went on for 10 weeks, then, I had Clarence Gaines come on, who was a front office guy with the Chicago Bulls at the time, and for him to share his perspectives on what that was like. And then assistant coach Jimmy Clemens, who coached both the Bulls and coached the Lakers with Phil Jackson and coached, Michael Jordan and coached Kobe Bryant. So for him to come on and share his perspectives during that time, I thought was, kind of like pulling the curtain back and allowing our viewers to connect with these sports celebrities, to kind of get to know them and connect with them and hear from them directly was something that was a lot of fun, Tom. So I think of some former NBA players who have come on and shared their journeys. There's just so many to sit there. It's almost like your kids. You don't have a favorite one. You love them all individually for what they bring. And then I think of a guy who you've had on your show, Reggie Hansen, the former Kentucky Wildcat, who also came onto our show. But we're just very fortunate that basketball allows us to build the relationships that we have, throughout our fraternity. And just like yourself, you and I, we met here at the NBA Summer League, here at the Rocky Mountain Review, here in Salt Lake City. So I feel blessed and fortunate to have cultivated and fostered these relationships, to have these people come on and be guests.
Of course, that was the beginning of our friendship, and then it grew. And every year I bump into you at the NBA Summer League, and then
Yes,
it becomes so enjoyable when you're traveling, and then you're bumping into a friend for such a long time that it does. Obviously putting the number of hours that we do, and we're so passionate about the sport that sometimes I look over my clock. I'm like, man, this is 8, 9, 10, 12 hours. I've already gone. We still got another 7 days.
Yeah. Well, Tom, think about it. Our friendship has grown, and I've seen you now get married and have children. You've seen Brandon come into our lives, who's now playing professionally over in the country of Georgia for 3 years, and definitely got more gray hair, and I'm a little more follically challenged than what I was when we first met. But that's the beauty of it. Think of those relationships, because I've set the you work hard and network and market your players that you represent, whether it be at the G League level or internationally with different coaches and general managers, and have seen the sacrifice that you've put in for the people that you represent. And you do an outstanding job, and watching you work hard behind the scenes, all those hours that people don't realize that you put forth that effort, and you do it because of your passion and your heart and your willingness to help these players that you represent. But yet it's also helping your family as well. And to see that growth and maturity, just by how hard you work for the things that you do, it's very inspiring. So I continue that great work that you continue to do always, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate you, those kind words, and just the fact that you've kept an eye on me and mentored me on the side, and it's helped me to grow alongside with you. Thanks for that. But speaking of Brandon, wow, your son, what a wonderful young man, and I took his video here. I'd like to show it. Can you now? Speak a little bit about Brandon's game and how he's been doing. I've been following him last few years, and I think he's been playing in Georgia after he finished college. He's back for another year. What a beautiful story. Why don't we play a little bit of the clip here, and Coach, take us through here.
Well, watching this clip with you, Brandon is a true point guard. He's a lefty. He can score. He's very unselfish, and he's going to do things to put his team in a position to be successful. I was able to coach him at the junior college. At USU Eastern, and then he went on to Adams State, where he finished a great college career. And as you said, this is his third year playing professionally. His rookie year, he actually led his team to a championship. And again, very unselfish, gets into the teeth of the defense, sets players up to be successful. He gets it to them in rhythm. He can score. He can get to the glass. He can knock down the three, but just his ability to set up his teammates and make them better, to make the team better, is something that I'm very proud of. And to see him grow and mature in the game of basketball, I'm just super proud of him. You look at him; he's a gym rat. He puts in the effort. He works tirelessly around the clock. He does all the things that he needs to do to take care of his body and stay in proper physical condition. But he's a gamer, and with that little lefty, he kind of reminds me of of a Michael Conley out here with the Utah Jazz. That left hand that can flat out get it done. And super proud of him because he's putting up great stats this year, and good things will continue to happen for him. And the thing that I've got to talk about is the hours that he puts in the gym. I mean, he's always working on his game. He's always working on some of his strengths, but yet he's also add that versatility to his game. So Tom, I'm just super proud of him to see how far he's come in the years that he's been a part of our family.
Wow, God bless you, because what you've done with the young man is amazing, and obviously credit to himself and his hard work and a good work ethics that's got him into a position to continue playing. Because from the hardship that he's gone through and the growth and development he's had, to just have the privilege of playing professional basketball, that itself is, I think, a tremendous accomplishment. And so the grind continues. Thank you for that professional evaluation there. Hope our good friends, if heard that, seen it, or if they haven't watched it, tune in and watch it on International Ball. And or YouTube, Brandon Sly on the and follow his work, because I've been watching this young man is doing good and continues to grow, Coach. So my hat's off to you.
Well, I can't take a lot of the credit. He's the young man who puts in the work. But what I can say for other players who aspire to play internationally, you have to have laser-like focus, and you're going to get a lot of no's, and there's going to be a lot of people that are going to tear your game down and say, like Brandon's case, you're going to say, hey, he's too small, he's not athletic enough, but yet he perseveres and he continues to work, and he always has himself ready to go. So when that opportunity comes, he's ready. He jumps right in, and he's got that passport and will travel. And like we said, this is his third year playing in the country of Georgia. And I know that there's going to be some great things continue to happen for him as long as he can stay healthy, because again, that laser-like focus and staying disciplined, to always having himself mentally and physically prepared to go. And Again, I'm just so proud of him because he's listened, he's absorbed like a sponge. He's been around great players that he's also learned from, and we've surrounded him with players and coaches that he's also been able to learn from. So he deserves all the credit. I'm just glad that I could kind of lead, guide, and direct him as a professional coach to let him know what he needed to work on, and he did it, Tom. He's put in all the work. I'm just so proud of him, and I love him to death.
Well, this is fantastic work because clearly it speaks volumes in terms of the work that you have done, not only as a coach and in the professional arena, but what you're doing at home. And here we are on your Instagram, social media. Man, I follow this, and I get inspired. I mean, here is one of the recent postings that you had, Coach. Can you explain this one?
I think it's all about perspective, and I'm all about motivation and inspiration. There's a chance that we can put a meme out that will hopefully change somebody's lens or somebody's perspective on how they view things. This one says, don't climb mountains so that people can see you, but climb the mountains so that you can see the world. And it's to change your perspective. And for me, it's all about hopefully empowering people and giving them tools for their toolkit, but hopefully just changing that perspective on how they see things and kind of change their lens and perspective. But yeah, I try to put a lot of stuff on that kind of shares my personal journey, but yet anything that we can do to inspire others, we try to do that. But you can see we're very family oriented, and whenever you have that culture as a coach on and off the floor, that's about family, that's about love, that's about compassion, that's about empathy. I think that's a wonderful thing to share.
Well, it's one thing to talk about it as a coach in professional arena, but it's another thing to completely live it, which you do. Just evidently so. I mean, you look everywhere that on the YouTube, you look at the Instagram, you Google Scott Fields. Your brilliance has been all over. And hopefully this pandemic will end, man. I'd love to see you on the sidelines somewhere and watch you.
I would love to have the opportunity to be back on the sidelines. I feel like we bring a skill set and we've won multiple championships. And so to have that experience to always springboard from, but just the ability to, be on the court and help players develop. And again, lead with compassion, lead with heart, and have that servant heart and leadership to help guide, mentor, and direct, just like we did with our son and multiple players that I think back at the list. And, here in my home studio, I have flags of all the countries where, we've traveled the globe and had great success. I pray that, the good Lord will put us in a position to where we can be back on the floor and help young men grow both personally and professionally and help their market value. So that way, they too can, provide for their families. I feel that coaches, we're in such a position to be able to guide and direct. And if you do it from the heart and you do it with passion, and it's truly a purpose and a life goal of yours, there's great things that will continue to happen. So, hopefully one day the good Lord will see fit that, we'll be back on a sideline, helping players at no matter what level that is. We've had great success at the college level for more than 14 years, where many of our teams were nationally ranked, which takes a lot of work to build that process and believe in that process, but yet also internationally for more than 15 years, where we've won multiple championships. And, then also being able to be right here in Salt Lake City, where I was able to observe and consult with Hall of Fame coach Jerry Sloan, who did it for 23 years. And you think of that consistency. So every day for me, for those 2 years when I was between head coaching jobs, to learn and observe and consult from him was wonderful. And then I think of, working with Steph Curry when he was just a rookie at the NBA Summer League out in Vegas, being on that bench with him and learning and watching him and seeing how he's transformed the game. I believe those are insights that we can bring to a club or a team or a national team that would be very, very beneficial.
Absolutely. And your work continues, and hopefully in all platforms. I mean, you've literally turned a full negative situation to a positive one, and you're not coaching, but yet you're out there advocating and helping raise money for charity. You've completely the Scott Fields show is talking about social injustice issues, and also I've heard you some making some political comments because of the elections, and good for you. and, and so it's I think for my international basketball audience and friends, here is a great free agent coach that's available that is, will be a tremendous asset to the, not only win games at organizational level, but also help build that cultural winning, championship culture, which you've done in many times and multiple different journeys that you had in the past. Coach, let's get into a little bit about the league and some of the what's happening. I'd love to pick your brain a little bit here. You're our NBA expert, so for you regularly contributing on International Ball page. So now that I can speak with you, then I get right into it. So what can we expect at the November 18 draft?
You know what? I think it's going to be it's unique. It's a little bit different, but so are the times that we're living in because of this pandemic. I foresee, now again, these are just some of my observations and having friends in the league, and this is not coming directly from any of their mouths. This is just from my perspective. I think there's going to be some trades early on that could affect some franchises. There's some great talent. It's very, very open this year. Teams are going to draft based on need, but I do foresee some trades that are going to come up to where teams are going to try to position themselves for also the free agent market, because that free agent market is going to start on the 20th. So kind of like how you saw Trae Young and Luka Doncic a few years ago in the draft. I think there's going to be some early draft picks that will be traded and will be swapped as assets to kind of help catapult franchises that are, one or two players away. So I look for that to happen, but there's some exciting young talent that's coming through that, it's like every year, these players are getting younger and younger coming into the draft. And that's why you see so many wonderful player development coaches on these benches, because it truly takes time for these players to develop and to be an impact player for these franchises. But there's some young talent this year that, with the proper support systems in place, they're definitely going to have nice futures on this game. But you got dates that are coming up, Tom. You got the 18th is the draft. You got free agency starting on the 20th. And then you got the league starting back up December 22nd. So it's right around the corner. And I know there's some franchises that are eager to get back out there and continue to compete, and will build off of what just happened in the bubble. And what a great job the NBA commissioner has done in that NBA bubble in Orlando, where it started as a vision, but yet he still took the data and the science, and they created an environment that was safe for the players. And, to have that many days from July 30th all the way through October, and to have 0 cases, what a phenomenal job. These other major sports commissioners can definitely take a copy of that blueprint that they've done, and with the technology that was in place and the way that they did their testing, and they were very stern and firm with following those guidelines. And so to the NBA, I say kudos and congratulations. You do see a lot of the social media feedback that came in, and it's interesting to hear a lot of people say, well, you know what, I didn't watch the NBA because I felt like politics was being shoved down my throat all the time. But yet again, give Adam Silver the foresight to allow the players to speak their mind and give them a platform to continue to use basketball as a platform to speak on the things that you just spoke of, the social injustice, the voter suppression, to open up all these NBA facilities to allow people to register to vote and to be able to vote. And people here in America definitely had their voice heard, because not only on the national level, but also the local level, where a lot of the social injustices and with police reform was able to take place. And I'm not afraid to speak on that, because as we talked about, my son is African American. So to sit there and have dialogue and conversations with my son about what was important to him, of course, I was going to stand beside him and with him through those times, because, hey, the color of someone's skin shouldn't make a difference on how they should be treated in our society. So I hope that my grandkids can grow up in a society and in an environment that's going to be conducive for success for them. And there's not going to be systemic racism like we've had for years, and the oppression that's been there. And here I am, a Caucasian man who can say that, but I can say that because of the security I felt with the relationships that I have with many NBA players, that I know too that that's how they feel. And so not only can I speak for myself, I can also eloquently and hopefully do it justice and speak for them as well.
Yes, indeed. So many points I'd love to engage with you on these, asking you questions. You talked about, young players that are going to be in the draft, but we also see about the NBA G League. What are your thoughts about what, possible news that you have heard in terms of how they're going to start their season? Because they have signed with their elite level contracts. They've signed a number of top elite high school level players that once would think they were going directly to the college or NCAA for that matter.
You know what, Tom? I'm glad you asked that question, because for years I felt like the NCAA has been very reactionary, and to me they're a decade behind. So give Adam Silver in the NBA and the G League, the president Abdul Rahim right now, a lot of credit, because again, they have that foresight. They're being problem solvers. They're being progressive, and to allow these young high school kids a route to come in and start their professional development is, again, I think something that's outstanding, because I feel like the NCAA is way behind when it comes to that. Because look at some of these great players. Look at one of the guys who could very easily be one of the top 5 players in this year's draft, the young ball, who played over in Lithuania, and then this last year he did an outstanding job over in Australia. Again, that's for them to showcase their skill sets, but yet also make some money as they're developing and learning these professional skill sets, and how to take care of their body, and how to budget their time, and how to grow professionally. So for the G League to now have that in place for these players to go right from high school into a development system to help prepare them mentally, physically, financially, put resources around them to help them learn the professional side of basketball, to me is outstanding. I do feel some of these players come in a little too early, that aren't physically and mentally prepared for an 82 game season coming right out of high school as an 18-year-old. But yet that's going to be something that they're going to learn, and learn quickly, because they're thrown right into the fire. But great job to the G League to see that, and to not sweep it under the table, but say, you know what, this is a situation where we can take these players right out of high school here in America and from around the globe who want to come in and develop and learn these skill sets. That they've done that, and they're providing that opportunity. So for them, I say outstanding job to the G League. And I know there's going to be some meetings coming up here in the next few days where they're going to be making decisions on, will these G League teams play, and are they going to have a schedule, and are they going to have a season? And then if they don't, that's going to open up opportunities for players to go internationally to continue to hone their skill sets and add tools to their toolbox for that versatility that we talked about earlier.
Well put, Coach. Do you think about the U.S. colleges non-salary payment for 2 players? and this trend, there may be possibilities for this trend to continue for a lot of players. Instead of wanting going to college to go to the NBA, maybe looking for suitors at the NBA G League or Australia or other pathways to build a professional career.
I feel, now this is just my own opinion. I feel like the NCAA honestly has exploited these athletes for long enough. Now there's two sides of the coin. I hear Jay Billis talk about, how can we sit there and call them student athletes? And I mean, yes, in the old terms of the game, student athlete was something that was very, very heavily regarded, and they were getting an education and their housing was taken care of and their scholarship took care of room and board and those types of things. But yet when I sit there and look at how can they sit there and put players likeness on videos and they don't make a penny for it? They can go have autograph sessions and not be able to make a penny for it. Jerseys are being sold around the nation and they can't make a penny off of that. That's where I feel the NCAA has to do a better job. Yeah, they can still have amateur status, but yet if their people are using their likeness to make money off of them and exploit them, which is a multi-billion-dollar business, you know what? Let's put a little sugar in the cookie jar for these guys who are having their likeness stolen from them and they're making money off of them. So I feel like the NCAA definitely has to be progressive, be forward thinking, and find out how these NCAA football players and these NCAA basketball players can make a little bit of money when their likeness is being used. And I feel like the NCAA needs to do this sooner than later, because for years they've been exploited. And I coached at the college level, so I saw firsthand how all these rules that were put in place to protect the players and yet protect the sanctity of amateur sports and athleticism. Come on, man. This is 2020. Let's be progressive and let's be forward thinking and let's take care of these players who are being exploited. And that's just my personal opinion on that, Tom.
I appreciate you sharing that because as the societies they're evolving, tougher economical situations, a lesser earning income for a lot of the I guess lower income families. I mean, this is their talent is all they have, and this is potentially their only source of income. Obviously it's not fair, but how it's going to be dealt with, I thought the NBA G League's idea is, to be able to tap into that level of player pools that is going to be able to offer, professional pathway to build their career, and and again, alternative source for the elite level players to engage in building their careers. So obviously overseas, a lot of the clubs and the FIBA model, we know academies are attached to the professional team, and then the players are able to be called up for more income with their parent teams, and then or the same way that NBA has been recently adopting how the NBA G League system could work in terms of the two-way players. So I think that goes all around, and it being able to put together a functional system, I think, for the basketball industry. You said the NBA has done a fantastic job in that, taking, during these tough times, hosting the bubble format to conclude their season, and everybody else is doing it. They're following suit. Oh, okay, you know what? I heard there was a tournament in Colombia. Bubble format. The FIBA America is going to be bubble format. Right on, Coach. Really appreciate your time and opinion and a lot of these factors. What is next? I think. Do you see in terms of how the evolution of the game has been just continuously moving forward with everything that's coming to us?
You know what? I think we have to sit there and be honest with ourselves. And me as a coach, it was never about me personally as a coach. It was always about my players and what could I do to help my players and assist my players and help them grow and help them develop. And I feel like coaches who have the players' best interests at heart, they're always the ones that are going to shine. And the coaches who are the best communicators and the coaches who are the best teachers are also going to be the ones that are going to be the most successful. I don't care which level. I don't care if it's NBA, WNBA, G League, NCAA, NAIA, high school. If you're an effective communicator and you're an effective teacher and you put the player's best interest at heart above your own personal agenda or your own ego, those coaches are going to be the ones that are going to be successful. And I really feel like we, as coaches who are in this fraternity, we also need to be very honest with ourselves and say, you know what, this NCAA structure, it is fractured, it is broken. So instead of trying to sweep it under the table and keep, just keep things going status quo, let's take what is fractured and fix it, just like within our communities and just like we did, within our nation with our vote. And again, I don't want to get too political about it, but yet it takes a small ripple effect, one or two people to stand up and say, hey, I believe in what he's saying. I believe in on how he presents that. I'm on board with that, because sometimes people are just too afraid to put themselves out now because they're afraid they're going to get fired and they're going to lose their job and they're not going to be able to take care of their families. But you know what? Lead with your heart, have a servant heart, have compassion, be that person who's going to stand up for your players and do what's best for your players. But again, that NCAA, it is fractured, it is broken. Let's tweak that and make that better, so that way the game of basketball can continue to grow, continue to evolve, and let's not dilute the product to put people in a position to not succeed. I feel like we got to set players up to grow, to be successful, and to hone their skill set. And yet, when we know that there's development that has to be in place, let's not have a microwave society where we have our expectations are so high of these individuals, and then we set them up to fail. And the next thing you know, now they're going to deal with heartache. They've been told how great they are for so long, and then all of a sudden you see the body language go. You see mental health get affected. Then you see substance abuse come into play. So again, it's a little bit the system that sets them up to fail, and we have to be advocates and make sure that we can put them on a pathway to be successful and be advocates for them and put their needs and put their marketability and put their skill sets as the number one priority, whether it's male or female around the globe. Let's set them up to have success and not set them up for failure. And let's not dilute the product so that way it's saturated with people who need time to develop, which lowers the product to where it's not as entertaining, because it's going to take some of these players time to grow and develop to be at a high level to where it's entertaining and it's fun to watch. And sometimes we watch some of these, top teams, but there's only 6 or 7 teams that are competing for championships, and then everybody else is growing and developing. And it's hard to watch some of those teams at the lower levels because we're trying to be patient so that way we can build them up. Let's have realistic expectations on where we're at as a community with basketball.
Perhaps from an international perspective, an outside in look, do you think introduction of maybe FIBA agents into representation of collegiate athletes or formation of a union, as NBA G League recently moved? I think there was talks about it during the summer at one point, I think. Maybe the solution in part in terms of being able to assist quote unquote student athletes.
You know what, Tom? And I think you can answer that question better than most, because you wear those shoes, you wear that hat. I feel like the more people that we can surround these players with as mentors and give them proper guidance and not have hidden agendas where we put, we make decisions for our best interest. It's not about us as an agent. It's not about us as a coach. It should be about these players first. And if we can surround them with a support system with core people who truly have their best interests at heart, it's always going to be a win-win situation. So if it is with agents who truly care about these individuals and want to see them succeed and not exploit them for whatever millions of dollars you feel they may make, again, let's make sure we're having realistic expectations for the individuals so we can set them up again. This is a business, and decisions are going to be made. These young egos have a hard time with business decisions that set them back to where, hey, some of them may have children and they need to be able to get diapers and shoes. And are we truly setting them up to be successful? And are we truly empowering them with all the information to help them make the proper decisions? And if we can do that, Tom, as a community of interest from agents, from coaches, from general managers, I think it's only going to be a positive thing, because true, I think that you could speak on that well after being an agent and a representative for so many years, because you've seen highs and lows and ups and downs, and it's truly something that puts someone's character to test. And I feel like, hey, let's surround them with support system to help them be successful.
Absolutely. Look, if I may, my 2 cents on the subject is,
please,
look,
please.
I personally, my personal view is that, look, if they're from, I guess, again, from an international perspective, which is agency is a malfunctioning system. For many reasons. That's probably, we'll have to tailor a full show on that. But when you look at it, a lot of the players that leave their country to come to a foreign country to learn their language, to learn a new culture, to learn a new way of playing basketball, to have their national governing basketball federation, to have them a local agent or a representative with them towards, helping them make the transition from amateur to NCAA level, perhaps to begin with, because then you can see that there may be mentorship, there may be guidance, there may be, a lot of not just only personal help, but also being able to lay down a career plan and goal setting in terms of what that young man needs to do. I mean, some of these guys are, let's not forget, they're 17, 18, 19 years young, that are looking to leave their country to come. And so I think that's an important element, because I also hear a lot from the international community that they don't want to be feeling like their basketball assets are being poached, because obviously NCAA is signing billion-dollar contracts and TV rights, sponsorship, endorsements, but there's no player development education fee paid for the academies in their country who have helped with this player development education. So I think that there's a solution there in part, perhaps. I think there's a system that needs to be developed there. But it also has to be, you have to get it out of, because the college game is no longer a local game. It's an international one, because there are so many other international student athletes that have aspirations to play college basketball. So why not sort of have a creative approach in terms of putting these young men to succeed by having a local resource that can help them grow and help them make that transition, be it not just a language barrier. Okay, not everything is academically taught and by taking courses, but there is mentorship needed. So I think that's my view when I speak to a lot of international friends. I think that can be a solution part to discuss. But then again, you got to see what the folks at higher power, what division, what's success. Yeah.
I think you made some great points, Tom, and I hopefully people are going to sit and listen to this conversation, and it will start dialogue to truly see where there are, cracks in the system, because, let's plug those cracks to make it better for these players and make it better for everybody. And and as I hear you talk, it also triggers thoughts into my head to where, what, I feel like the grassroots level of basketball here in the United States has lacked for years, because all we're doing is throwing these kids on airplanes and having them travel throughout the United States in AAU, where again, I feel like proper certifications and proper trainings for these coaches, they should have to go through a certification process, so that way they can truly be mentors, to where they're truly looking out for these players and for their development, and to take care of their needs off the court as well. Because I see too many of these coaches who are just out there trying to get another endorsement deal or another shoe contract. Then all of a sudden, then it becomes about the almighty dollar, where it's about greed, and it's not about the player and the player development and what's the best interest of the player. So again, I look back at it because I speak and come from a coach's perspective, and I have that coach's lens. So to me, it's all about, are we truly leading and guiding these players with proper coaching, with proper mentors, with proper support systems? Because when we've got some guy out there who's a snake and who's just a shark and who's bloodthirsty for more money or for greed, again, there's hidden agendas there that aren't taking care of these 15, 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old kids. And they're just kids. They haven't developed enough mentally to make great decisions for them that are going to be long-term. They're just kids. Let's take care of these kids as coaches and prepare them for not only basketball, but also for post-career and life, because that's what this is truly all about. Look at how many kids where their playing careers end, and yet they're not educated because the educational system let them down, and yet coaches and mentors also let them down because they were using that kid to just try to get on another college level or a professional level staff. And then we truly did a disservice to these individuals who we should have been taking care of the whole time through their process and their growth.
Absolutely. Like in my view is that, what, especially these young men, talented young men, they have the natural right to have a representation, especially if they're coming internationally.
Sure, 100%.
What better way to certify, first of all, regulate the industry, put certain parameters and regulations into the working process and procedures of representation at that level, and tax it. I think it's a win-win situation for everybody.
Well, there definitely has to be healthy boundaries put in place, and there has to be open dialogue so everybody knows so the right hand knows what the left hand is doing. And if we can create boundaries and we can create support systems that are going to be healthy, that's what we need to do. Let's quit having this negative, toxic environment to where people are just being exploited. And that's the part we have to correct. But yet people with a big heart like yourself, who truly care about the individuals that you represent and that you take care of and that you're able to place around the globe, it takes people like you who are going to spearhead things like this. And I'm glad we're having this discussion, because hopefully there's going to be hundreds of thousands of listeners who are going to hear this dialogue and be like, you know what, they're onto something. How can we now put these thoughts and visions into action? Because it's all about action. We have to have action, and we have to have follow-up, Tom. But I'm glad we're having this conversation, and I'm glad that we're able to kind of put it out there and let other people also comment. And I'm eager to hear their feedback on it as well. But for me, I challenge the coaches to be better, stronger mentors and role models, and truly guide with their heart.
Yes, sir. I think that's best advice and best way you put it. I'm going to stick with people, good people, process, and technology. I think that triangle is going to be the solution to the problem, because once you have the process in place, then everybody has to follow the routine and the regulations and laws, and then when you have the the whole governance of the sport in terms of having national federations, regulate their own their sporting bodies and be able to apply themselves, because some of these guys that are going to come back and play for the national teams.
That's right. That's exactly right. So I think the discussions that we're having is definitely putting a foundation in place. We just have to follow up with it and let these governing bodies have the power to say what is best for them and their country and their national teams and their professional leagues. 100%. They need to have bricks in that foundation, but yet allow us who see and can tell where some parts of the system or processes are fractured and allow us to help fix that. So again, we put the best product that's going to be out there and take care of everybody to make it a win-win for everybody. The player, the agent, the coach, and better yet, the communities and the clubs that are putting the product out there to entertain these fans. Let's make it a win-win for everybody.
On that note, Coach, I think we had a winning conversation tonight. I want to thank you for your time. I love talking to you because it's just it's so passionate, it's so informative, educational, and I'm able to learn a lot. So thank you.
Oh, again, I'm honored and humbled, and thank you for allowing me this space to come on and just express a few opinions that we've been able to formulate through years of experience together. And again, I really appreciate it. And again, I hope people take the time to not only click and listen, but also comment and let's have that dialogue and conversation, so that way we can continue to evolve and continue to grow and continue to empower each other. Because again, it's all about the beauty and what drew us together in the first place, which is the best game in the world, in this game of basketball. And I love it. I still feel it's the best game ever. Yeah. Are there ways to tweak it to make it better? 100%. But yet let's also know too that it's the best game that's out there. And it's a wonderful thing because so many life lessons can be taught through this game. And those coaches who can take this game and teach life lessons that will go on forever and help set up solid foundations for these guys to have post careers, to where, hey, these players can now go back and be agents, and these players can go back and be coaches. Now they're going to be mentors, and let's make sure we're teaching them the right things to give them the foundation to be able to teach from as well. So for me, that's what this is all about. And again, Tom, thank you for your time. I'm honored, and love your spirit, love your passion, and love your purpose, because I feel like we share a lot of the same passion and purpose through this game.
Absolutely. On that note, everybody watching, friends, family, just followers on International Ball and the Scott Fields Show, just please like, comment, share. We're looking for engagement. We're looking for comments. We're looking for your views on how we can better the game. Within the context of what we're discussing today, I think there is a lot of good conversation that we had that I think they need contributions to share. Maybe there's somebody else out there that can contribute. I love to host other experts, so feel free to reach out to me or Coach Scott Field, who's also hosts the show, and for us to perhaps even host roundtable discussions to engage the conversation more. So again, thanks for your time. And once again, if please visit CoachScottFields.com for the website to get in contact with Coach Scott Fields. And you can go on the International Ball Facebook page at International Ball. Again, like, comment, share. Looking forward to hear from you. Thank you.
Appreciate you. Stay safe, be healthy, and continue the great work that you do on a daily basis, Tom. I love it and support it 100%. God bless you, buddy.
Thank you, Coach. God bless you and your family. Keep well. Wish you good health and continued success there, my friend.